Well, before we start, I think we just have a morning prayer because today is an auspicious day. We have this Vesak Day. So happy Vesak Day to all of you.
Happy Vesak to all of us here.
Yeah. Why I put this song because it's co-related to what we are going to share today about our personality, how we should behave. Okay, now I know everyone online. I hope that this is also a new beginning in life for us. Every day, in fact, is a new beginning. So today, I'm going to share with you about this the parables. Because if I were to bring you into this Lotus Sutra, it may be a bit lengthy, first of all, and secondly, it's also because it's not so easy to understand. But to me, I feel that out of this, the 7 parables, if you could understand, I'm sure you know exactly why Buddha comes into this world. Because Buddha treats all of us as his own children. So, of course, if we are the father of the children, we would want our children to grow up well, to be successful in life, right? So this is the first parable, first out of the 7 parables in Lotus Sutra. This parable is the parable of the burning house in the threefold world. Why is it called threefold world? Later we will explain, okay? So before we go into these parables, I think I should elaborate a little bit about this. In Buddhism, what do you have? Actually, in Buddhism, we call it the Tripitaka. Tripitaka means we have the Sutra preached by Buddha, and then Buddha also set up the rules and regulations. so that everyone in the monastery, they can live together in harmony and to cultivate together. And the other one is the treatise. The treatise means is written by people later on, the commentary. These treatises are actually the commentaries. But most important is, actually you can see that in the Sutra, we have about 12 categories or 12 divisions of the Buddha's teaching. Okay, first we have the prose. We see all the long phrases that's written. Then they have this the repeated words in short term, like poem. Why Buddha has got to repeat in this in this verse? Because first of all, Buddha is afraid that many people cannot understand. So to repeat, so he put it in verse form. It will be easier for you to understand, and also it's shorter. Okay, and they are also inside the Sutra the independent verse, as what normally Master Chenya would be also doing. Before we start to expound on the Lotus Sutra, she would have an independent words, what she think of this phrase, and then what the content of the Lotus Sutra. And of course, today we are going to talk about the parables. There are analogies inside this Lotus Sutra that tell us precisely why Buddha comes to this world. Actually, it is to bring us into liberation. Of course, they are also the cause and condition, so that we will know why we have got to do good and abstain from evil. Okay. Of course, we have also the unrequested teaching. A lot of times, Buddha just pick it out, expound the teachings without anybody making any request. But in normal times, actually, it's like people ask questions and then there's answers by Buddha. Okay, so that is the unrequested teachings. And also, Buddha would be telling of his own life history, life story of Buddha, over Buddha's past lifetime. Now what Buddha met, and then how he overcome all these encounters and difficulties, and also the previous lives of his disciple. Now, talking about the disciple and his own life story, then we will be understanding how we should go about in our spiritual cultivation, and what never existed before. These are, like Master Chenya would always be telling us. We will share this later on. And also the next is the broad teaching. It's about the universe. It's on a broad spectrum that we would understand from one, we will be able to understand all. Okay, and then also the explanation of the doctrine. And then we have also this the prediction of Buddhahood, because inside this Lotus Sutra, actually is the sutra that would lead us and guide us to attain Buddhahood. So that's why you can see that there are the 12 categories. And all these 12 categories all appear in the Lotus Sutra. That is why Lotus Sutra is so important and significant to all of us who are practicing on the spiritual path to attain enlightenment. Okay, so now we come to this, the Lotus Sutra, Sutra of the Lotus, or the Wonderful Law. So you can see that Sakyamuni Buddha's teachings has been preserved in numerous collections called Sutra. There are so many sutras that Buddha has expounded. So among these, one of the most widely influential has been this Lotus Sutra. And you can see that Lotus Sutra, as I've told you in the previous session, is divided into 28 chapters in 7 fascicles. Okay, so from chapter 1 to 21, and also in chapter 25, this is very important in the sutra. Almost everything is said first in prose. Prose means the long phrase, long paragraph. Then in verse, the short phrase. All right. The remaining chapters are without the phrase repetition. Okay. The verse part, that means in this short phrase, generally follows the tenor of the prose discourse. It's just a repeated verse, so that we can understand even better. It is believed that the verse form was used to facilitate the reciters to memorize the teaching and transmit to others, because it's in like the poetic form, so it is easier for us to recite and to remember. Okay, so you can see that in the Lotus Sutra, very distinctive features of the Lotus Sutra is the use of parables. And the parables or analogies contain many layers of metaphor that have inspired many layers of interpretation. So these are the parables, the 7 parables of the Lotus Sutra. Firstly, today we are going to share and study about this, the parable of the blazing house, okay? And then parable of the father and his lost son. This is also very important that we have got to learn why Buddha came to this world, okay? Then the third one is parable of the medicinal herbs. Yeah, because sutra is like a medicine. Once we take it, it will heal our spiritual mind. Then parable of the phantom city. They say it here, imaginary city, but actually it's the phantom city that the great wise man has made up so that every one of us can come in for spiritual cultivation. As I told you in the last session that I always know from the very, very beginning when I went first to Qingshi Port in Hualien, I really can view and visualize that Tzu is really like this phantom city because we have all the missions so that we can work together. And from here, while helping others, actually we are practicing spiritual cultivation on our own. Then the parable of the jewel in the robe that we have, but we are not aware of it. Parable of the precious pearl in the top knot. Then parable of the skillful doctor, how the father healed the son. Because like us, a lot of times Master Cheng Yen has been telling us that this sutra is like the medicine, Dharma is water, that we have got to take it so that we can get healed and then we can get inspired. But a lot of times we will say that we have no time. It's difficult to get up early in the morning, but you can see that actually Master Cheng Yen makes so much efforts to address these Dharma discourses so that we could understand. But I don't know how many really, honestly, Master Cheng Yen, the sermons, how many really listen, but never mind. Actually, we can still practice through those video clips. And you can see that the first parable, third, fourth, sixth, and seventh parables, they are related, and they are spoken by Buddha himself. And the second and the fifth parables by his disciple. This second parable is expounded by the 4 great voice hearers. Voice hearers is one of the kind of disciple that they just have to listen and they can attain enlightenment. All right. Then the fifth is shared by the 500 arahants. Okay. Just to inform you so that at least you have a brief idea of how this Lotus Sutra is formed. All right. Let's come to this parable of the blazing house or the burning house. This is the simile for the threefold world. Why is it called the threefold world? Because in this threefold world, actually we have the craving, desire, and then we have this going through the transmigration in the state of delusion and suffering. Because everyone come to this world, and be it rich or poor, you're bound to encounter mishaps or sufferings in one way or the other. So a wealthy man has lured his children out of this burning house. This is a short description of this parable of the burning house. Okay. So I think because this is very easy to understand, so that's why I copy out the chapter 3 to let you know how Buddha told to this Shariputra. Shariputra was Buddha's first disciple and very close one. So Buddha said to Shariputra, did I not tell you before that when the Buddhas, the world-honored ones, by using casual explanation, parables, and other kinds of expression, teach the Dharma by skillful means over the first 42 years. It is all for the purpose of supreme awakening. Okay? All these teachings are for the purpose of transforming people into bodhisattvas. All right? It's, you see, it's spelled out so clearly inside this Lotus Sutra. But Shariputra, let me once again make this meaning still more clear through a parable. Buddha is going to elaborate further. For intelligent people can understand through parables. Because parables are like short stories that we have got to understand. So Buddha said again, Shariputra, suppose in a village or city, in a certain kingdom, there was a great elder. He has many fields, houses, and servants. This is like Buddha. His house was large and spacious, but had only one gateway. Many people live in the house, 100, 200, or even 500 in all. So many of them. This hall and rooms were old and decaying. Its walls crumbling, its pillars rotting at the base, its beams and rafters falling down and dangerous. Buddha described the house, the big house, to Shariputra. And then Buddha said, inside the house, fire suddenly broke out, engulfing the house in flames. All right. The children of the elder, Buddha's child, beings, the human beings, say maybe it's about 10, 20 or 30. Actually, that one refers to the realm we are in, the realm we are in. So we're inside this house, all right, inside this universe. The house here means the world, the universe. The elder, seeing this great fire spring up on every side, was very alarmed and thought, though I can get out, right, Buddha, he can get out easily, and though I can get out safely through the flaming gateway, my children are in the burning house, enjoying themselves, engrossed in play, without awareness, knowledge, alarm, or fear. Fire is closing in to them. Pain and suffering threaten, but they do not care or become frightened and have no thought of trying to escape. I think from this phrase, we will be able to understand actually Buddha is looking at this samsara world, and the world that we are living in now are full of chaos, full of disasters, and we are really, living in such, in the midst of sufferings. All right. I don't know how you all feel when I read this passage. I really can visualize, this is how our world is now. You can see that there are so many disasters everywhere, especially now with the COVID-19. It's really alarming and frightening. Actually, it's creating havoc. All right. So Buddha continued. Shariputra, this elder said to himself, my body and arms are strong. I can wrap the children in some ropes and put them on a pallet or bench and carry them out of the house. Actually, he can do that. But then he thought again, this house has only one gateway. All right. One gateway means one teaching. Okay. And it is narrow and small. My children are young, knowing nothing as yet of the danger. They are absorbed in their play. Probably they will be burned up in the fire. I must tell them why I am alarmed and warn them that the house is burning and that they must get out quickly or be burned up in the fire. In accord with this line of thought, he called to his children, get out quickly, all of you. In fact, this is what precisely Master Cheng Yen is also doing, if you can visualize that. Although the father was sympathetic and tried to persuade them with kind words, the children, absorbed in their play, were unwilling to believe him and were neither alarmed nor frightened. When I read this, I feel actually it is very true. How many people really go into this, spiritual practice, and then to get awakened not to say get up from our sleep, but to awaken from our delusion that we are in. They didn't even think about trying to escape like all of us. Now we are living in this world, and then now you see, every time we yearn to live longer life. What is more, they did not understand what he meant by the fire or the house or losing their lives. Actually, this is precisely what we are experiencing now, okay? So you can see that the children like us, the living beings, the human beings, in fact, actually it's not only the human beings. When Master Cheng Yen explained about the 10, 20, and 10, 20, and 30, actually it refers to the 5 realms, the 5 realms of living beings. Okay, they only kept running around playing like all of us. We are still enjoying life, right? With all the misery and all the suffering, yet we are thinking that we are enjoying life, barely glancing at their father. We ignore Buddha. We never listen to the teaching, as what Buddha has told us. Okay, so this then the elder thought, this house is already going up in a great blaze. If my children and I do not get out at once, we will certainly be burned alive. All right. Now I have to find some skillful means to get my children to escape from this disaster. Okay, this was what Buddha was thinking when Buddha came to this world. So Buddha knew, knowing what his children always like, and all the various rare and attractive playthings and curiosities that would please them. The father said to them, the things you like to play, which are rare and hard to find, if you do not get them when you can, you will be sorry later. Of course, using this to lure them out. A variety of goat's carriage, deer carriage, and ox carriages are now outside the gate for you to play. Okay, you must get out of this burning house quickly, and I will give you whatever ones you want, whichever you want. Either you want the ox cart or the deer cart or the goat's cart. Buddha will give it to us. This refers actually to the different forms of teachings. All right. When they heard about the rare and attractive playthings described by their father, which were just what they wanted, all of the children are eagerly pushing and racing with each other, came scrambling out of the burning house. This is the way how Buddha attracts us and lure us to go out of the samsara world. Then the elder, that is Buddha, seeing that his children had safely escaped and were all sitting in the open square and no longer in danger, he felt very relieved and ecstatic with joy. Okay, this was how Buddha felt. Then each of the children said to their father, those playthings you promised us, the goat carriages, deer carriages, and ox carriages, please give them to us now. Okay, Shariputra, then the elder gave each of his children equally a great carriage. So you can see that if you study this, the Lotus Sutra, you can see that actually what Buddha refers to the goat carriages and deer carriages are not the different practices like the voice hearer, as I told you just now, and Pratika Buddha. They have got to practice by hearing, and those who can just practice and attain enlightenment on their own. Okay. They were tall and spacious and decorated with many jewels. Okay, they have railings around them with bells hanging on the four sides. Each was covered with a canopy, which was also splendidly decorated with various rare and precious jewels. I hope you can imagine how these carriages were well decorated with adornment, with these ornaments. Then the children rode on their great carriages, having received something they have never had before and never expected to have. Okay, so Buddha asked Shariputra again, now what do you think about this? So is that elder, this Buddha, in giving equally the rare treasure of great carriages to his children, guilty of falsehood or not? Actually, he is just luring them out, giving them like when we ask the children not to cry, and we give them toys so that they can play with it, so they stop crying. It's just the same. So the Buddha was also worried that is it that he is bluffing them. Okay, so but Shariputra said, no, well-honored one. Then elder only made it possible for his children to escape the disaster of the fire and preserve their lives. He committed no falsehood. He's not bluffing them. He's not using these toys to lure the children out or to stop them from crying, but actually giving them the good things. Why do I say this? By saving their lives, he has already given them a kind of plaything. All right. How much more? So when by skillful means he saved them from that burning house. All right. So, well-honored one, even if that elder has not given them out of the smallest of carriages, he would not be guilty of falsehood, because actually Buddha lure them out with these toys, the toys of the ox carriages, the goat's carriages, and this the deer carriages. Why? This explained in the Lotus Sutra. Because the elder from the beginning has intended to use some skillful means to enable his children to escape. That is the reason why he is not guilty of falsehood. How much less so when, knowing his own immeasurable wealth and wanting to benefit his children abundantly, he gave them equally great carriages. This means that, you see, if I use Master Cheng Yen, you'll be able to understand better. You see, over the past 42 years, I suppose, Master Cheng Yen is telling us, okay, you have got to go and do charity work. You go and do, you go and help others. All this actually they are experienced or skillful means, so that we are able to do good and abstain from evil. Sorry, just a while. And what okay, so he was born into this threefold world. That means the formless world, the world with physical form, and all this, and all decaying, burning house, in order to save living beings from the fire of birth, old age, disease, death, anxiety, sorrow, suffering, agony, folly, blindness, and all the three poison: greed, hatred, and defilement. Because why is it called the threefold worlds? Because it consists of all this. Because there's the transmigration, the cycle of birth and death, and also going through this birth, aging, old age, disease, death, anxiety, and then in lives we also suffer from sorrow, sufferings, agony, all this. All right, including the three poisons, and to teach them and transform them, enabling them to reach supreme awakening. The supreme awakening means that actually we are not bound by other afflictions, because you can see that every day we get annoyed, we get angry, we get anxiety, all this. But Buddha is going to tell us that all these are impermanence, and we can keep them away. Okay, then further, the Buddha said to Shariputra, good, good. It is just as you say, Shariputra. The Tathagata is also like this, for he is a father to the whole world. You see, Buddha treats us as his children. So that's why he said he is the father to the whole world, and the whole world where all the living beings, not only human beings, are living. He has long ago completely gotten rid of all fear, distress, anxiety, ignorance, and blindness. Buddha has already attained such awakening, has attained immeasurable insights, powers, and freedom from fear, and has gained great spiritual powers and wisdom. Buddha has already attained that years ago, 2,500 over years ago. He has fully mastered skillful means and the practice of wisdom. Okay, his great mercy and compassion never stop. He always seeks the good, whatever will enrich all beings. Okay, so you can see that Buddha, he sees how living beings are scorched by the fire of birth, the cycle of birth, old age, disease, and death, anxiety, sorrow, suffering, and agony. So that's why Buddha is helping us to attain liberty, to get liberation, so that we can enjoy happiness, true happiness. Moreover, because of the five desires, we have the five desires, and the desire for wealth, they undergo all kinds of suffering. Because every day we are working very hard to earn our living, so that, and we strive for wealthiness. Okay, because of attachment to desire and striving, they endure much suffering in this life. I'm sure you and I can understand this and realize this very well. And later will suffer in a purgatory. And you know where is purgatory? Or as animals or hungry spirit. Because in Buddhism, this is what we believe, that you would transmigrate in the 6 streams. That not necessarily that every lifetime you will become human beings. Of course, it is a rare and really wonderful opportunity to be born as human beings, because this is the high and mighty. But from now, what you can see, actually, human beings, in spite of being the highest level of all the living beings, yet we do a lot of things to harm others, not only to the human beings, but also to the living creatures, like animals. Even if they are born in a heaven, because 6 streams also include the heaven, or among people, they will experience many kinds of suffering. Even in heaven also, I think you feel in one way, but not so much. In heaven, actually, you really enjoy a very good way of living. But as human beings, I think it's half-half. We also enjoy our living. At the same time, also we encounter certain kind of suffering in one way or the other, such as the suffering of poverty and hardship, especially as human beings, the suffering of separation from what they cherish. All right. Because dislike, yet you have got to be with them. That's why you can see maybe I just quote an example only, not only this. You can see many people who they get married and they get divorced. I think precisely this is what they encounter, what they hate. All right. Absorbed in this thing, living beings rejoice and amuse themselves without knowing or seeing or being alarmed or frightened, and never being dissatisfied. Because we are not always satisfied. Like, sometimes I remember, I can always remember very well last time when I was working at that time, young time. I'm very fond of buying clothes, Okay, you buy this color, then you feel that, oh, you also need another color. When you buy this color dress, then you also need to match with your shoes to go with the same color. So you're not satisfied. And when you buy new ones, you are so happy. But after wearing for a few times, you get bored, and then you feel that you need some more. So you can never be satisfied with what you have in life. Like, okay, when you have one thing, you will also crave for the other. So this is why we never try to liberate ourselves, to free ourselves from this entanglementism. Okay, in the burning house of this threefold world, they run about here and there, and though they encounter great suffering, they are not disturbed by it, as what we human beings are behaving, I suppose. We know that in this samsara world, actually, we are also suffering from sickness, or sometimes apart from our dear ones and all that. But we still yearn to live in this world as long as we can. I don't know how many of you have experienced such kind of thing like me, to feel like me. Shariputra, having seen this, the Buddha taught, I'm the father of all living beings. All living beings are not only human beings, and should rescue them from suffering and give them the joy of immeasurable, unlimited Buddha wisdom, so that they can find enjoyment in it. This is the everlasting, our wisdom life. If we can nurture, then we can find everlasting enjoyment. Okay, so Buddha said again, Shariputra, the Tathagata means Buddha, also taught, if I use only divine powers and wisdom, setting aside skillful means, and for the sake of living beings, praise only the insight, powers, and courage of the Tathagata, living beings would not be saved. Yeah, like as often we heard, when you give a person a fish, he only eat for one time, but if you teach them how to fish, they will eat for a lifetime. Similarly, if Buddha were to just rescue us, I think we are still ignorant and unaware that we have got to work hard to liberate ourselves. But if the Tathagata or Buddha were to tell us that you also have the power to liberate yourself, I think this will go a long time, because we can take care of ourselves. I think this is precisely what it means. Why? Because as long as all these beings has not escaped birth, old age, disease, death, anxiety, and sorrow, suffering, and agony, and are being consumed in the burning house of the threefold worlds, how can they understand the wisdom of the Buddha? So that is precisely, and the ultimate goal of Buddha coming to this world actually is not just to teach us, okay, you have got to earn your living and how to become wealthy and all that. But important is to how to liberate ourselves, from the samsara world, so that we can get ultimate perfection. Okay, Shariputra, even though the elder has strength in his body and arm, he did not use it, but only through carefully worked out skillful means. That means what he has taught us, save his children from the danger of the burning house, and then gave each of them great carriage with precious materials. This is what we are going to, that as spelled out in the Lotus Sutra. Okay, so the Tathagata, though he has power and is free from fear, does not use this, but only by wisdom and skillful means rescue and liberates living beings from the burning house of these threefold worlds. teaching the three vehicles to the Sravaka. Sravaka means they have got to, they just have to get in touch with the affinity to get in contact with the Sutra. They'll be able to attain enlightenment. Pratika Buddha means the Sun Varna. They are the voice hearers. Actually, Pratika Buddha is the voice hearers, and Buddha vehicles. That means you have to practice on the Bodhisattva's path. Then Buddha said to them, none of you should be happy dwelling in the burning house of the threefold worlds. Do not crave its crude forms, sound, scent, taste, and sensation. Actually, because now we enjoy through our five senses, our five sense organs. So if you become attached to them and learn to cherish them, you will be burned up by them. You need to get out of this threefold world quickly so that you can have the three vehicles, the Sravaka, Pratika Buddha, and the Buddha vehicle. I now make this promise to you, and it will never turn out to be false. Just apply yourself and make the effort. This is what, all this actually I just copy from the Lotus Sutra. I feel it's so good. Maybe we just have a read through and then we'll be able to understand further. Okay? The Tathagata uses this skillful means to bring people to act, like what Master Chenya has been doing over the past 42 years through the 4 major missions and 8-fold path. Let us go and practice, put Dharma into action. All right? Then he said to them, you should know that the teaching of these 3 vehicles are praised by sages. Sages like Master Chenya can also be considered as sages. With them, you will be free from attachment and bondage and will not need to rely on or seek anything else. Okay? Riding in these 3 vehicles, you will gain flawless roots, powers, awareness, ways, meditation, liberation, concentration, and so forth. And then enjoying yourself, you'll be able to delight in infinite peace and comfort. This is the ultimate goal that we are going to attain. That means it's to delight in infinite peace so that will goes on from life to life. Shariputra, if there are living beings who are wise by nature and who, following the Buddha, the world-honored one, here the Dharma here refers to the Lotus Sutra. Receive in faith. You take faith into this teaching and make a great effort. You have got to put Dharma into action, wanting to escape quickly from the 3-fold worlds and seek their own nirvana. Nirvana means perfection, extinction. Extinction from what? Extinction from affliction. They will be called those who take the Shravaka vehicle. Okay? They are like the children who come out of the burning house to get a goat. Goat carriage refers to this Shravaka. Okay? If they are living beings who, following the Buddha, the world-honored one, hear the Dharma and receive it in faith, and who, seeking natural intelligence and taking solitary delight in tranquility and goodness, they practice meditation, chanting and all that. Make a great effort to deeply understand the causes and conditions of all things. They will be called those who take the Pratika Buddha vehicles. Okay, this is the second type. They are like the children who came out of the burning house to get a deer carriage. You see, it's explained so clearly to us, how what is meant by these carriages. Again, if there are living beings who, following the Buddha, the world-honored one, hear the Dharma and receive it in faith, who apply themselves and make a great effort, seeking comprehensive wisdom, Buddha wisdom, natural wisdom, the wisdom that needs no teacher, and seeking as well as Ataka's insight, power and freedom from fear, and who pity and comfort innumerable living beings, enrich human being and heavenly being, and save them all. They will be called those who take the great vehicles, as what we are doing now in Tzu Chi. Because Bodhisattvas seek this vehicle, they are called the great ones. They are like the children who came out of the burning house to get an ox carriage. But this is still not enough because the ultimate goal is to attain Nirvana. All right. Shariputra, the elder, seeing his children safely out of the burning house and no longer threatened, thought about his immeasurable wealth and gave each of his children a great carriage. The Tathagata does the same. Buddha did the same thing. He is the father of all living beings. He seeks innumerable thousands of millions of beings escape from the suffering of the 3-fold worlds. from the fearful and perilous path through the gateway of teaching of the Buddha, and thus gain the joy of nirvana. As what I told you, actually the perfection means is to get extinction. The nirvana means extinction. That means to be free, to be liberated from all sufferings, all afflictions, all anger. You won't, you come as a person with an inner pure nature. Then Buddha thinks, I have Dharma storehouse of Buddhas with immeasurable, unlimited wisdom, power, and freedom from fear. Okay, all these living beings are my children. We are all Buddha's children. I will give the great vehicle to them equally, so that no one will reach extinction individually. So that's the reason why along this Bodhisattva path, very important is we not only cultivate spiritual cultivation, but most important we also have to help to liberate others. This is precisely why Bodhisattva path is so important to attain Buddhahood. But all gain the same extinction as the Tathagata. This was what Buddha told us, that we can be like him to attain enlightenment. All the living beings who escape the threefold worlds are given the enjoyments of Buddhas, meditation, liberation, and so forth. Meditation here, that means you are calm in your mind, not just to sit there in meditation, but you won't be agitated or distorted by the worldly matters. All are of one character and one type, praised by sages and capable of producing pure, wonderful, supreme happiness. You see, pure, wonderful, supreme happiness. This is important, okay? So you can see that eventually Buddha gave them the great vehicle. Shariputra, the elder at first attracted his children with the three carriages, right? The deer carriages, and the ox carriages, and also the goats carriages. And after that, Buddha gave them just one great carriage decorated with jewels, which was the safest and most comfortable carriage. Precisely why Lotus Sutra is so important is because actually it's teaching us the one great vehicle, the Mahayana vehicle. Okay, this is precisely what is written in the Lotus Sutra in chapter 3. So to sum up, actually it is telling us that all living beings are deeply attached to the worldly pleasures and lacking in minds of wisdom, because we are only intelligent, but not wisdom. Intelligence and wisdom are two different things. There's no safety in the threefold worlds. It is like a burning house, replete with a multitude of sufferings. Actually, you can see that no matter who you are, be it rich or poor, you're bound to face certain kind of suffering in one way or the other. Truly to be feared, even though now that we are living in Malaysia, but when we see in other countries that the pandemic is getting so fiercely, we would also fear that in no time, I think we would also be encountered just the same thing. Okay, constantly beset with the griefs and pain of birth, old age, sickness, and death. Yeah, we go through this life cycle, which are like fires raging fiercely and without cease, and non-stop. Of course, when I'm telling you this, I'm telling in the name of Buddhism, that this is what Buddhism believes. Okay, so now what is needed is simply that you acquire Buddha's wisdom. We learn from Buddha, okay, about the wisdom. If there are bodhisattvas here in this assembly, let them with a single mind listen to the true law of the Buddhas. Though the Buddha, the world-honored ones, employ expedient means at the beginning, right? Expedient means to tell us about the cause and conditions. The living beings converted by them are all bodhisattvas. As it is, when we walk on this Tzuchi's path, actually is the bodhisattva's path that Master Chen Yen is guiding us. If there are persons of little wisdom who are deeply attached to love and desire, and this love and desire here refers to our sentimental feeling for our own family only, for our dear ones, because they are that way. The Buddha preaches for them the rule of suffering. Okay, a wealthy man has a house with one gate. That means with this Mahayana vehicle. Inside are his many children. The house is on fire. So to entice the children to come out of the burning house, he tells them that there are 3 chariots outside filled with toys, one pulled by a goat, another by a deer, and last with an ox. Okay, so when the children come out, they find large chariots for all of them, each pulled by an ox. That means Buddha pull all the 3 carriages into one and form into this the great vehicle that is called the white ox vehicle and the Mahayana vehicles. Okay, Buddha explains that the father in the story is himself. Buddha already explained. The house is the samsara, that means this world, this living world, which is subject to decay and death. And the fire represents our suffering and vexation. So when you see this, I'm sure you would realize, as you see from the worldly matters, the one gate represents the exit out, which is the Buddha Dhamma. All right. The children are disciples, are like you and me. The promise cards are the various apparent rewards consequent upon following Buddhist teaching and practices. And the ox cards are true liberation. Okay. All right. The 3 chariots are the 3 vehicles of Buddhism. At the beginning, Buddha has given them because he wanted to lure them out from the burning house. So he told them that I have these toys, the ox cart, the deer cart, and the goat's cart. Okay. So the main part of this parable is to show how Buddha has taught in different ways to help sentient beings and finally leads them towards the Buddha path. Yeah, this is very important. Okay. And precisely why Buddha is expounding on this burning house. Actually, Buddha is trying to tell us and guide us towards this Buddha's path. All right. So you can see that in real life, okay, we call it in Buddhism, we call it the Ta Qian Kun, the great cosmos. The great cosmos, of course, refers to just how I say the world, the big world, the universe, whereby you have all the 4 elements, the wind, the earth, fire, and all that. When these are not balanced, I'm sure we will suffer and there will be a lot of sufferings. Actually, this refers to the great cosmos. Of course, apart from this great cosmos where we are facing so much of disasters, we also have our own small cosmos. What is our small cosmos? Our small cosmos is our mind and heart. Because I'm sure you would understand, apart from we seeing real disasters outside, actually inside our mind and heart, we also have this disaster and that is burning and boiling our heart as well. So that's why you can see that actually Buddha is trying to save us not only from these outside disaster, but also from the disaster from within, inside our heart. So you can see that delusion, we are so ignorant. This is the formless typhoon in our mind. Don't you agree? Jealousy, you can't see, it's the formless sword because it is killing us. Sometimes we feel so much of the pain, like sword pointing into our heart. I could always remember my father last time always tell me, he said that sword, kris, in Malay you call it kris, right? He said when you use your tongue, that means you scold people or you say bad things, or say bad things about people. He said when you use a sword to poke into a person's heart, you can easily pull out. But when you use a tongue to harm a person, it can never be pulled out. So that's why you see how dangerous is our tongue, the speech that we say, the words that we use. A lot of time actually is out of jealousy, okay, and suspicious mind. I think this is the greatest thing. A lot of times actually our mind is like the monkey mind. We never think good. We always be suspicious of people are coming to harm us or people are unfriendly to us. But we have never thought that people are kind unless we see it and then we appreciate. This is what Master Cheng Yen is going to convert us, transform us. That rather than having a suspicious mind, we have a good mind. Think good thoughts, do good deeds, and speak good words. All this comes from here, okay? Suspicion is the formless evil spirit in our heart, okay, that can destroy us easily. It's like evil spirit, that time, every time when we are suspicious, we will be thinking badly about others, okay, that people are going to harm us. Okay, enter into deviated path is a hell in the heart, because sometimes we have not wandering thoughts in our mind that we have been wondering. a lot of things, and then when we think of it, we would start to become angry, and we may even hurt other people. Okay, right. Then these invisible thieves, they call it the thieves, because it's stealing away our peacefulness. Okay, inside our heart will eradicate our wholesome root, because the wholesome root is very important if you believe in life cycle. When we have a good root, it will bring us to a better place, the paradise, and burn away the merits of our spiritual cultivation. Okay, so this is precisely what Master Cheng Yen told us in this Jingse aphorism. So that's why you can see that actually Jingse aphorism give us a lot of teachings in simplified form, so that it's easier for us to learn, and we can also practice in action. So I always like to quote Jingse aphorism. After I'm going to quote you a few. So from there you could understand how we are going to overcome. And actually, be it the great cosmos or the small cosmos, actually they are correlated. When our mind is corrupted, we would easily, I'm sure you know about the resonance of our thought. Sometimes when you do prayers, that's why that is the reason why we have got to pray. Because if you pray in mass, then the resonance of our prayer, the sound of our prayers would reach and be heard by all Buddhas and all gods in the universe. So that's why actually the great cosmos and our small cosmos are correlated. So if we want to change the world, we want to turn the world into a better place. Most important is we have got to change our small cosmos, our mind. How to get rid of all these evil things inside our mind. So that's why the burning house actually is correlated to the individual as well as the universe. Because if everybody's mind is purified, you can see that the society will remain in harmony, and naturally the world will be free of disaster. Okay, so I employ an expedient means describing to them the three vehicles, the goat's cart, deer carts, cart carriage by the big oxen, causing all living beings to understand the pains of the threefold worlds. And then I set forth, this was what Buddha said, I set forth and expound a way whereby they can escape from the world and to attain enlightenment ultimately. Okay, if these children of mine refer to the sentient beings, will only determine in their minds to do so, they can acquire all the three understandings and the 6 transcendental powers, can become Pratika Buddha or Bodhisattva who never regress. All right. This is in fact why we need to practice spiritual cultivation every day. Okay. So in this parable, the burning house, Buddha is trying to get some wayward children out of a burning house, which symbolizes the turbid and defiled world that we are living now. Okay, so when you look at the world, our world now, you will be able to understand the burning house even better. All right. However, the children could not realize the danger they are in and continue to stay and play inside the house, as what we are doing now. Actually, we are yearning to live a long life, but we never try to or make an attempt to how to make our life peaceful and true happiness. Similarly, our Master Cheng Yen has always taught us to walk the path of the sutras, meaning to apply the Dharma in our daily lives and in our interactions with others. I'm sure you know that Master Cheng Yen has not made so much effort to teach us every day, talking about it, hoping that it will drill into our mind that we have to change our behavior, change our way of approach, so that we can interact with others in a peaceful way. Then we can live in harmony with each other. Okay. So that, as I say, in the same way, Master Cheng Yen has been warning us that we are behind time. Master Cheng Yen always say many years ago, we are already behind time. There's no more time to waste. We must not waste any more time. I don't think that we are still young now, but life is impermanent. Okay, especially for people like us who are already catching up in age. We should even be more cautious of what Master Cheng Yen is telling us, that we are really behind time. We never know. You never know when would be the end of the day for us. But we have got to grasp every opportunity, every moment to practice so that we can look forward to a better life. Our world is in great danger, judging by the imbalance in the environment and the evil mindfulness of some human beings. Not some only, to me, I feel a lot more. So that's why you can see that our world is in chaos. With the master's earnest and persistent admonishment that we must learn and practice the Dharma every day, Master Cheng has been telling us, it is imperative that we take heed of her words and work to transform ourselves and those around us. Not only us. That's the reason why we have got to share Dharma with each other. So if you know or learn of everything, you can also share with me so that we can learn together. Actually, that is the reason why we have got to come for this group practice or group study, so that we can share, our understanding of the Dharma with each other. You may have a better understanding than me because through your experience, and you can also share with me, and then we can learn together. This is most important, okay? So Buddha thought that on the path towards enlightenment, we must develop both wisdom and compassion. This is critical. We have got to have these two. And Master Cheng Yen's teaching can help us to understand and develop these qualities. This is what I believe. And she is a truly inspirational force when it comes to helping us to realize that we should put compassion into action by alleviating the suffering of others. No, by this means, by everything. That's why Master Cheng Yen asks us to go and help those less fortunate than us. Actually, through this, through poverty, we appreciate what we have. So at least then we can subside our arrogance. Okay? The Tzu Chi is part of offering compassion and relief was born from Master Cheng Yen's profound wisdom. So actually, in fact, as I say, the Phantom City, the 4 major missions and the 8-fold path, in fact, they are the Phantom City that the Master Cheng Yen has created for us so that we can acquire profound wisdom by helping others. Through helping others, we learn from each other. Okay, so you can see Master Cheng Yen has also formed the Jingsi Dharma lineage. Actually, Jingsi Dharma lineage, why Master Cheng Yen formed, actually is to cultivate a mind of purity from within. Okay, and at the same time, Master Cheng Yen has also put out this the Tzu Chi Dharma path using this Lotus Sutra, along with the teaching of the Lotus Sutra. Actually, it's a part of diligent practice. When you come to Tzu Chi, you cannot idle away your life, because unless you don't want to do, if you are anxious and willing to do, I'm sure this is a diligent path in the living world that we can work outwardly, not only to help others, but actually by helping others, we gain wisdom. This is precisely why Master Cheng Yen has formed these two, the Jingsi Dharma lineage and also this the Tzu Chi Dharma path, so that we can learn and practice together. This is the Phantom City that I'm referring to. Okay, so you can see that I've quoted a few of the Jingsi aphorisms, and through this, I'm sure you would understand what I mean by Master Cheng Yen's teaching. Master Cheng Yen said, we need to rid ourselves of bad habits and not compete with others, but rather challenge ourselves on the path of spiritual cultivation. This one is very meaningful to me. Yeah. Rather than we go and see the bad side of others, why not we change? We change ourselves. The moment you change yourself, I think you will be able to convince others to change too. Another one is also a good one. Blessed are those who can be at peace and content with being an ordinary person. But a lot of times we want to boast ourselves or be high above others. So that's why sometimes we feel discontented and we feel angry. Okay, this is the 4 magical soup that Master Cheng has given us. Contentment and gratitude, understanding and forgiveness. Okay, so contentment and gratitude will cultivate blessing for us. Understanding and forgiveness will mitigate our bad karma. Wow, this is very important. Okay, and then if we always face all people and situations with a grateful heart, we'll be happy and at peace every day. Yeah, this is very true, I'm sure. And then remain soft-spoken and forgiving even when reason is on your side. When you are when you know that you are right, even then, Master Cheng Yen asks us to remain soft-spoken and forgiving, to treat others. Okay, so by doing all this, I think we know that one's fortune cultivates blessing. Okay, cherishing one's blessing will give rise to empathy. Engaging in virtuous activities will engender wisdom. Okay, right. So overcoming difficulties in human relationship not only sharpens our wisdom, but also strengthens our resolve and courage. This is very true, isn't it? Then, like recently, Master Cheng Yen always asks us to lift up our head, to repent, and bow down, to be grateful to everything on earth. So we have to repent sincerely, observe abstinent rules piously, bring together a sense of compassion and selfless dedication, and the great strength of relieving the suffering. Okay, so as it is now, I think the most critical part is Master Cheng Yen is telling us that you can see across the planet every second. Not only now, is not because this data was in 2008. By now, it has increased to 2,556 animals are killed, and not including those as seafood. Every day, over 210 million, not 210, but 220 innocent creatures are slaughtered. And every year, over 80.6 billion animals lost their lives. Okay, this is the data that has been formed recently. So Master Cheng Yen asked us, very important now, that we have to save lives by eating less meat. You can see, because if you look at this, in India, an average of 4 people was diagnosed with COVID-19 in every second. More than 2 people died of the virus in every minute. Don't you think it's similar to how the animals were slaughtered? Okay, so let's work together to mitigate disasters. Actually, in fact, we are now in the burning house, and this is what Master Cheng Yen is trying to bring us out of this burning house by asking us to observe vegetarianism to mitigate the world disastrous pandemic. All right. Okay. So this is only 2 minutes. Maybe we just have a look.
Joining us. In Nepal, the pandemic situation is severe and there's a lack of medical resources. So the Malaysia chapter has purchased and packed medical supplies to be airshipped to Nepal. They hope to support the people in Nepal until the pandemic eases.
From Malaysia.
The pandemic situation in Nepal has become more severe. In Nepal, there's a lack of medical sources that many patients are forced to be treated outside hospitals. Tzu Chi Malaysia chapter has speeded up its foreign aid.
Because medical resources are lacking in Nepal, Tzu Chi is purchasing these medical supplies overseas, including pandemic prevention supplies and medical equipment, to be delivered to Nepal.
Although it is during movement restriction period, volunteers are packing medical supplies.
Although there's movement restriction order, we still mobilize a few volunteers to pack medical supplies to be sent to Nepal. They include 300 boxes of gloves, 25 boxes of protection gowns, and 5 oxygen generators. These medical supplies will be airshipped to Nepal.
Tzu Chi volunteers are willing to support people in Nepal until the pandemic eases.
Okay, so you can see, and now we also call upon everyone to donate generously so that we can bring love and transpire everyone's loving kindness to be sent to Nepal, not only to Nepal, but to many other countries as well. Okay, so actually, finally, this is what I want to say, that you can see a lot of Tzu Chi volunteers around the world, actually they have come to learn about this, the burning house. So that's why they are listening to Master Cheng Yen, and they are also practicing this, so that they are able to get out of this such kind of burning house. You see how diligent they are? This is the path, the Dharma path that Master Cheng Yen has paved. And in spite of they not being able to understand fully what Master Cheng Yen is teaching, yet they are so diligent. I think this is also an inspiration for us that since we are able to understand, we should be able to do it even better. You see, there are so many people, right, across the world. Okay, so with that, I hope that you understand what I'm trying to convey, the message of this burning house. Look at the world now. I'm sure you know what is a burning house. And we living beings in this burning house, how are we going to escape? Not only to bring peace to the great cosmos, but most important is to bring happiness to our small cosmos. Okay, with that, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, and let's learn together. Okay, thank you. Over to you.
Okay, thank you, Sister Suhu. Thank you so much for the to giving us an insight of this what Master Lotus Sutra and what Master Chen Yen is telling us to do. Because yesterday, during the morning volunteer assembly, actually Master Chen Yen also mentioned about the small cosmos and the great cosmos, you know. So actually now what we are experiencing around the world, actually she mentioned that now the great cosmos is also not good. So from what we need to do is from our inner, each and every one of us, is if everyone in the world, we can start to, you know, take care of our own cosmos. So this small accumulated, it will become a very good, how should I say it, a protective level that can protect all the people in the world from what is happening around the world. So that's why I think after today's sharing, I think all of us, we can start those, you know, we can start to do this, you know, eliminate all this, put what the knowledge, put into action, because the Master said that is wisdom. Put what we know into action to make this world to help other people, so that can reduce the sufferings of all those people in the around the world. So just now, Sister Suhu shared with us some of the Jingsi aphorism. So I think that is one that I think exceptional, give me a very meaningful, because I think that one that because currently even though we are facing the pandemic over here, but comparing to those in other corners of the world, like in India and in Nepal, we are still considered fortunate, even though we are facing the pandemic. So when we know our own fortune, so and we feel gratitude, so we cherish our own blessings, so we will feel empathy towards them, and we can contribute no matter how small the contribution, but we can offer our help. We cannot be in person to help there, but what we can do is to donate, you know, to donate towards this international relief fund, so that we can offer our minor effort to help those, to relieve those sufferings in Nepal. So I hope that my dear my colleagues, our family members over here, that we can do our part over here, because now and then in conjunction, today is such an auspicious day, and then Nepal being where Buddha was born. So we hope that all here, at least we can do our part and to help them and to contribute our small effort towards them. So thank you so much, Sister Suhu, for your sharing today. So do anyone have anything to say before we leave?
In fact, you see, Master Chen Yen has been telling us people living in a peaceful place, we have got to help people who are living in a disastrous place. So that's what we can do now.
Yes.
And every little efforts count. Doesn't matter how much you give, but important is your loving kindness that will be conveyed to them.
Yes, I think that is because we are all living under in the same world, in the same place. No matter, even though we are at different, but we are all the same. We are all one big family in this world. So it is how we can support and give them. You know, we can show that we care, and even a small contribution. Okay, so if there is there is any feedback. If no, then we'll thank you, Sister Suhu, again for today's session. Then we will meet again tomorrow. Tomorrow, same time. Tomorrow we will have our study group, and Teacher Maria, she will lead tomorrow's reading group.